look at the radiograph, okay, in patients with this condition, you will actually see some calcifications and radiopacity to those areas that you expect that there are there are skeletal muscles. Okay. Now there are two clinical forms: myositis ossificans progressive and traumatic myositis ossificans. Okay, or the MOT. So usually, this kind of lesions, the masseter or the SCM or sternocleidomastoid is involved. So in the radiographs, you will see a feathery opacification or radiopachysis. So the diagnostic feature is maturation and organization of the osseous tissue peripheral to the central cellular zone. Okay. I've given you I think it was 3 journals related to this lesion, the myositis ossificans. If you can read those 3 journals, you will have further knowledge on how to diagnose and manage these kinds of lesions. Okay. Uh, okay. Now, let's just focus ourselves here in neoplastic muscular lesions. Let's go first with leiomyoma. Okay. Now, leiomyoma is a benign tumor with smooth muscle differentiation. And there is a common subtype, okay, especially found in the oral cavity. It's called angioleiomyoma. So it is the most common smooth muscle tumor in the head and neck region. So as I have said before, okay, blood vessels has smooth muscles. Okay, that's why it has this potential to grow leiomyoma. But since it is very specific, it's a subtype actually of leiomyoma. They term it as angioleiomyoma, just to differentiate it from other leiomyoma that is not coming from the blood vessels. Okay, so angioleiomyoma, okay, this is a very specific subtype, okay, because it is localized in blood vessels and shows vascular differentiation. So you can actually see these lesions, lips, tongue, buccal mucosa, palate, okay, sinonasal tract, mandible. So basically anywhere where there are blood vessels. Okay. So the clinical features, you will see soft tissue swelling, okay, and uh, here 12 to 15% of all of the leiomyomas in the head and neck, okay, is presented as angioleiomyomas, okay. So even though the leiomyoma is rare in the head and neck, most likely it will present as angioleiomyomas, okay. So the predilection between male and female is just equal. There's no sexual predilection for this lesion. So here, okay, this is just a normal leiomyoma. Okay, leiomyoma. Uh, leiomyoma pa pala tayo. Okay, leiomyoma. Sorry. So leiomyoma, okay, is what you can see under the slide is that leiomyoma is actually grouped into fascicles. Okay, what you can see here is that fascicles are grouped together according to the direction. They are longitudinal. Um, they are longitudinal sections. They're also cross-sectional. Okay, so just imagine that this section here is going towards you. Okay, this section here is going in this direction. Okay, so this is one fascicle right here. This is one fascicle right here, and then this is another fascicle. So they are actually grouped into bundles of fibers. Okay, now they intersect with each other. The fascicles intersect with each other. Okay, and there's no atypia. But however, as you can see here, the nucleus is cigar shaped. It's also elongated. Okay. Now, uh, if we will see some atypia or uh, or pleomorphism, okay, that's a time that you may consider this as a leiomyosarcoma. But as you can see here, the nucleus, even though they are elongated, they have this similar shape, similar size, and also similar in the density of the color. So mitosis is not that many, okay? It's absent to sparse. So especially in this section here, okay, what you can see here is that the nucleus, okay, is not very hyperchromatic. Okay, here, especially in the longitudinal sections, you can see that cigar shape. Okay, but however, they are quite uniform in size and shape. Okay, this section here, even though that it's the nucleus are more round. Okay, you don't really see the pleomorphism here. Okay, so this is angioleiomyoma. So as you can see here, that it is represented, or it's the tumor. It's not arranged in fascicles, but it's arranged according to the shape of the blood vessel. Okay, just imagine that the tunica media is very engorged and it's very thick. Okay, and all of those tumor cells are wrapped together, forming a very big blood vessel. Okay, so I will just point out to you. This one here is a very big blood vessel, but here the tunica media is thick. And as you can see that the tumor cells are shaped, or they are arranged in a whirling pattern. Okay, and right here, okay, that's actually like a very small lumen. Okay, just imagine that this whole thing right here is a blood vessel, and it's uh, the tunica media is very thick. Okay, so it's actually grouped according to the shape of the blood vessel. Okay, so this is also called as vascular leiomyoma. Okay, and inside here, okay, the lumen is actually collapsed already. So it's the muscular layer is thick, and the lumen becomes very thin, and it's collapsed together. Okay, so the and at the same time, that's the smooth muscle cells. Okay, they continue to merge as part of the stroma. Okay, so you cannot really see where is the background or where is the all other cells right here, because the tumor has already fused together with all of the structures that surrounds the blood vessel. Okay, but it's very easy to diagnose this kind of lesion, this angioleiomyoma, because once you see it in the low sections, low power objective, you can actually see circular areas, okay, that are quite reminiscent to a blood vessel, but it's quite peculiar because the muscular layer are thick, okay, and then you cannot really see the lumen because it has already collapsed. Okay, now there are some inflammatory cells that are seen here, okay, like this one here, okay, but it's just an insignificant finding. What you really need to see here is how thick the muscular layer of this blood vessel is. Okay, this one here, this section here, okay, this one is one blood vessel right there, one here, and then another here, okay, and then another here, okay. The spaces that you see here, okay, these are actually adipose cells, okay, but the main focus here is that the blood vessels are peculiarly thick, okay, the muscular layer is thick, okay. So the histologic features is that there is a prominent vasculature surrounded by smooth muscle cells associated with the blood vessels. Okay, so it's very easy to diagnose this kind of lesions, the angioleiomyoma. Okay, now when you look at the IHC, so the IHC profile of leiomyoma is that it has a positive finding for SMA and desmin. Desmin is just a general protein found in any muscle. Okay. But specifically, the SMA would turn out to be positive to confirm that this is a smooth muscle tissue. Okay. So as you can see here, it's negative to SOX10, negative to S100, and negative to HMB45 because uh, these are uh, positive to these proteins are positive to neuroectodermal cells or neural cells. So definitely it's going to be negative to muscular lesions. Okay. Positive to SMA, positive to also desmin. Okay. Leiomyoma is a benign lesion. Okay, so the treatment is a wide surgical excision. Okay, it has an excellent prognosis because the characteristic of this lesion is not that aggressive. Okay. What you can see right here is actually the comparison between the leiomyoma and leiomyosarcoma. Okay, as you can see here, okay, the nucleus, okay, it doesn't have any uniform in shape. Okay, it's more angular right now. The size is bigger, and you can see the differentiation or the difference of the hyperchromacity of the nucleus. Others are very basal, the other are light. Okay, the sizes are unequal in shape. Okay, it's the shape is some are round, some are angular. Okay, so these two sections here, actually, you can really compare the nuclear and also the cellular pleomorphism that are seen and compared between the benign and the malignant lesion. Okay. Now let's go to leiomyosarcoma. Okay. So the slide that you have seen here on the second slide here, okay, that's the slide for leiomyosarcoma. So it's still a smooth muscle differentiation. This is the malignant counterpart of leiomyoma. This is a very rare lesion. Only about 0.01% of is seen in the head and neck. Okay. So the nuclei are oval to elongated in shape. They really don't um, have this fixed shape. Okay. It could go from round, elongated, sharp, or something else. Okay. And are frequently blunt-ended with perinuclear vacuole compressing the nucleus. Atypia is present. So there's a cellular and nuclear atypia here. As you can see here, okay, there are some spaces or vacuoles inside or within the cytoplasm. Okay, and when you compare it with the leiomyoma, the uh, the vacuoles, okay, the cytoplasmic vacuoles, the spaces that you see within these cells are quite numerous comparing it to uh, the benign lesion. Okay, so let's just have a recap. What you can see on leiomyosarcoma is that there's nuclear pleomorphism, okay, and then there's lots of vacuoles, okay. So those are the two signs that we need to see just to know whether this is a malignant or a benign smooth muscle lesion. Okay. Now here, okay, uh, when uh, when you see that this is similar to a blood vessel, okay, if it's a benign counterpart, it's called angioleiomyoma, right? But however, when that angioleiomyoma is a malignant counterpart, we will diagnose it as leiomyosarcoma. Okay, there's no angioleiomyosarcoma. All malignant counterpart of leiomyoma or angioleiomyoma is called leiomyosarcoma. Okay, So here, these two sections here, okay, is uh, what you will see here are some blood vessels. Okay, this one, this area here. Okay, this first slide is the angioleiomyoma. The second one is the leiomyosarcoma. But histologically, what we can see here is uh, the appearance of that blood vessel. Okay, so this is a blood vessel here, and as you can see, that it may be similar to a angioleiomyoma, but this is the malignant counterpart actually, because you will see that there is a pleomorphism, okay, and also mitosis, and you will see lots of vacuoles, okay, that are seen right at the periphery of each of the nucleus, okay. So you will see some spaces, vacuoles, okay, within the cells, okay, and at the same time there is a pleomorphism observed here, but seen on the low power objective, it may be similar to what you see on a blood vessel, and also how the thickness of the muscular layer is similar to our leiomyoma. But since there is a pleomorphism and lots of mitosis, this is considered as malignant one. Okay, so this is diagnosed as leiomyosarcoma. Okay, now leiomyosarcoma is uh, is one of the aggressive lesions. Okay, the head and neck. So it needs the patient should be referred to an oncologist for chemo and radio. There's a 20% 5-year survival rate. Okay, and the most common distant metastasis is towards the lungs. So this kind of metastasis would occur to patients in 50%, okay, of all cases. Now, okay, so now we're done with the smooth muscle lesions. Now we go to the uh, skeletal muscle. Okay, so the benign counterpart for skeletal muscular lesion is the rhabdomyoma. Okay, rhabdomyoma is a benign tumor with skeletal muscle differentiation. Okay, now there are two subtypes of rhabdomyoma: the adult type and the fetal type. It's very easy to remember this because of its name. Adult occurs well in adults, and then fetal is more on the kids. Now here, uh, especially in kids, if there are some very big lesions, uh, you will actually more likely to see rhabdomyoma on those age predilections. Okay, because it's most commonly seen in kids, especially the fetal type rhabdomyoma, the FRM. Uh, the localization, regardless of what's its subtype is, it's seen in the mouth and the soft tissue of the neck, salivary glands, larynx, okay, and also in certain parts where there is uh, the muscles of mastication. Clinical features is a slowly growing mass. Okay, ARM is seen in 60 years old. That's why it's an adult ARM. FRM. Okay, the range is very uh, huge. The range is very huge because it can occur to patients as young as 4 years old. Okay, and as high as 60 years old. So that's how you will differentiate how to differentiate the adult and the fetal type according to its age predilection. Kids as young as 4 years old may develop the fetal type rhabdomyoma. Okay. Now, that's one. The other one is to histology. Okay, this one is a the adult type rhabdomyoma. Since it's an adult type, you will expect that the cells are more mature. Okay, it is well differentiated now. So you will expect to see that the cells that are seen in adult rhabdomyoma is similar to the normal sections of a skeletal muscle. Okay, so the ARM is seen with a large polygonal cell, just as what you see on the normal histologic sections of a cross section of the skeletal muscle. Okay, but however, what you can see within these muscle cells, they have large vacuolated cytoplasm. They have lots of spaces. Okay, there are some cells, okay, that may have the spider, okay. These are called spider cells, okay, because it has been filled with lots of vacuolization, okay, within the cells, okay. And within this muscle cells, you will actually see some cross striations, but it's not quite clearly seen here unless you move to the higher power objective. Okay. But looking at the low power objective, you will see that most of the cells are appearing as if it's a normal cross section of the skeletal muscle. Okay. And definitely there's lots of vacuolization. Okay. Now, FRM, on the other hand, okay, since it's a fetal type, you will see that the cells are not differentiated. They are more young. They would appear like rhabdomyoblasts, okay, the primitive cells of the skeletal muscles, okay. So they are more round, they're more spindle shaped because during the development of the muscle fibers, they would appear first as spindle shaped, and then they would turn out to be more polygonal as it matures. Okay, that's why the fetal rhabdomyoma appears more spindle shaped. They are more round, more primitive, okay, more circular, and uh, it may also appear with cross striations, and the stroma is more myxoid. Okay, now it's like this. Okay. So you don't see the normal cross sections of the uh, normal skeletal muscles here, but the cells are more round. Okay, it's more primitive. Okay, now it's more spindle shaped. Now what you can see here, this one. Okay, when you see that the primitive cells of the or the rhabdomyoblast will uh, transition to a more differentiated cell, they would appear more uh, uh, strap-like. Okay, these are called strap cells. Okay, and within these strap cells, you will actually see and appreciate all of those cross striations. Okay, so these are not quite seen generally in FRM, but you can actually see that the tumor cells are actually has this tendency to differentiate, but then the differentiation would turn out to become like strap cells instead. Okay, they're not functional. Okay, they would appear as if the morphology is similar to a strap cell. Now, these strap cell also has some cross striations that we would see in uh, skeletal muscles. But generally, in the low power objective, more of the cells are appearing as if it's round, primitive, and similar to a rhabdomyoblast. Okay. So the essential diagnostic criteria of this is that the ARM is similar to a cross section of the skeletal muscle. They are large polygonal skeletal muscle cells with eosinophilic cytoplasm. Okay, you can see that its nucleus may be seen centrally or peripherally. Okay, and uh, And FRM, okay, you will see rhabdomyoblast in different stages. So it may appear as round, um, uh, and then you can also see some strap cells, okay, but generally it's more round to spindle shape, okay. Now, here, since this is a benign lesion, you'll not expect to see some atypia and mitotic figures, okay. So just to differentiate this type of muscle tumor from any other type of muscle tumor or any other connective tissue tumor is that you will first need to see if this is really a muscle lesion by doing IC markers like Desmin. Okay, so the IHC profile for rhabdomyoma is positive for myogenin and myoglobin. Okay, Desmin also positive. So the treatment for this is a complete excision. Uh, the recurrence is attributed to incomplete removal. Metastasis is not seen as seen in rhabdomyosarcoma. Okay, so this is not actually like a very aggressive tumor. Okay, but rhabdomyosarcoma is really aggressive. It's very destructive and infiltrative. Okay, so rhabdomyosarcoma has lots of subtype, and for the past, I think, 50 years, the subtypes and the classifications has evolved throughout time because of the varying IC markers that are seen, okay, or the morphology is not. It's the morphology is quite different, and it's actually, and its prognosis is also different. Okay, because throughout those 50 years, okay, what they base on their classification is just only the morphology of the cells. But later on, IC and also the genetic markers are involved during the diagnosis. So they have found out that the previous classification should be changed according to what they see on the current findings on their IHC and genetic markers. So when they differentiate all of these IHC markers and all of these genetic markers, they have seen that lesions that are seen previously that are very aggressive, okay, and it has turned out that right now, if you don't see any of these genetic markers, okay, your prognosis is quite high. Okay, so the bottom line here is that looking at those IHC and also those genetic markers would also predict the prognosis of this kind of diseases. Okay, but generally, what we look at here is that these are the common, okay, subtypes of rhabdomyosarcoma. We have rhabdomyosarcoma, not otherwise specified, so it isn't in line with those specific markers. I mean specific subtypes. Okay, and then all of this list down right here. We have embryonal, alveolar, pleomorphic, and spindle cell. Okay. Now, each of these subtypes would have its corresponding age predilection and also its corresponding prognosis. Okay. So as you have seen on the previous classifications, like for example, ameloblastoma, we have lots of histological subtypes, but then the histological subtypes does not really determine the prognosis. Okay, but however, in rhabdomyosarcoma, the subtypes could actually predict the prognosis of this lesion. So that's why it's very important for us to know the histologic subtypes, for us to know what kind of characteristic of this lesion are we dealing with. And also we can explain to patients that if you have this certain subtype, then we will expect that this is your corresponding prognosis. Okay. So the clinical features is that the 35 to 40% is located in the head and neck. Okay, because there are lots of skeletal muscles that are seen in the head and neck. So there are lots of areas that could be a possible location for rhabdomyosarcoma. It's found primarily in children, yes. If you can just go to SPMC, there are lots of rhabdomyosarcoma cases for kids actually. And the most common location of their growth is in the head and neck. And then it's seen on the buccals, cheeks, right here or right here at the cervical area. Okay. Uh, yeah, it's found primarily in children. It's a rapidly growing mass that may cause pain or paresthesia because of the compression of the um, nerves. So it is seen mostly in the tongue and the soft palate. Okay. Now here, since we have different subtypes, okay, embryonal, alveolar, uh, spindle, and pleomorphic. Okay, this is actually one of the mnemonics. Okay, so that I will remember easily what subtype and what is its age predilection and its prognosis. Okay, just remember easy. Just change the Y to P. Okay. So this mnemonics right here is it will correspond to embryonal, alveolar, spindle, and pleomorphic. Okay. Since it's already arranged in such way, okay, the age would be from kids to adult. Okay, so from pediatric to adult. So embryonal is mostly seen on pediatric, 0 to 5 years old. Alveolar, still pediatric, but 10 to 20. Spindle is more of a mix. Okay, the range is wide. Okay, pleomorphic is purely adults. Okay, so most of the uh, cases found in kids, okay, around 0 to 5, okay, the subtype is commonly seen as embryonal, okay. But the good side about this is that the prognosis, okay, is inverse. Prognosis is favorable and good if the cases are found in kids, okay. So it's more favorable for embryonal, but however, um, adults with rhabdomyosarcoma, especially the pleomorphic, the prognosis is poor. Okay, so just to make it easier for you to memorize all of the subtypes and its corresponding age and prognosis, just remember this mnemonics right here in this table right here. Okay. Now let's go to the morphology because it's very distinctly different. Okay. Now embryonal. Okay. It is seen with a primitive round to spindle cells. Okay. With hyperchromatic nuclei and scattered rhabdomyoblast. Okay. One thing that we really need to look here is the shape of the cells. Okay, it's more round. Okay, it's more round. It's embryonal. Okay, so the slide that you see right here is embryonal. Okay. Now alveolar, on the other hand, these round primitive cells are divided into septa. Okay, so they are divided in with a fibrovascular septa. Okay, if there's division, okay, its subtype is alveolar. Spindle shape. This is also alveolar. Okay, in a high power objective. This is alveolar. Okay, what you can see here is that there is a division. Okay, it divides all of those rhabdomyoblasts with the fibrovascular septa. Okay, And since it's just imagine it's why is it called alveolar? Okay, if you see the alveolar sections of the lungs, it's actually divided into like compartments. Okay, and then each of the compartments are divided with a fibrovascular stroma. So it's like this. Okay, it's similar to this one. Okay, so this is alveolar spindle. Okay, you don't see any round cells, you don't see any fibrovascular septa. All you can see is the spindle cells, okay? And it looks similar to a leiomyoma, okay, because of its fasciculation, okay? It's fasciculated, proliferation of the spindle cells. That's why you really need to do some IHC right here, okay? Otherwise, you're going to misdiagnose, okay? Spindle shape, spindle rhabdomyosarcoma are mistakenly, sometimes it's mistaken as leiomyoma or leiomyosarcoma. That's why you need to really do IHC here. Pleomorphic, on the other hand, you will see lots of cells, okay, that are ranging from rhabdomyoblast to strap cells. So you can also see spindle shaped cells, strap cells, okay, well differentiated cells. That's why it's pleomorphic, because you can see lots of forms of different types of differentiation of the muscular cells. Okay, so you will see strap cells. You will also see round cells. Okay, similar to embryonal strap cells. Fasciculation in fasciculated cells, spindle shape. Okay, everything. It's just all mixed up together. So if you see lots of different forms of muscular cells, that's pleomorphic. Now the one sign here is that you will see some strap cells in pleomorphic rhabdomyosarcoma. And at the same time, all of these subtypes here, they have this common ground. Pleomorphic, okay, they are pleomorphic, they have atypia, okay, hence they are the malignant counterpart of rhabdomyosarcoma. Okay. Now, if we stain it with IHC, that's the time that we know that, okay, we're dealing with the skeletal muscle right here, skeletal muscle tumor. This is myogenin stain. Okay. As you can see here, all of those tumor cells, okay, are positive with myogenin stain. Okay. All other areas, okay, are not stained with IHC, so they are not muscle cells. They are not the tumor cells, okay? So this one is an alveolar type rhabdomyosarcoma because naturally fibrovascular septa doesn't have any myogenin. That's why they're negative to such IHC stain. Okay. This is actually one helpful way doing the IHC to differentiate embryonal from alveolar, because sometimes when we process the tissue, you cannot really say that the fibrovascular septa is still intact because of how it was processed. So doing myogenin or any IHC stain positive for skeletal muscle would actually indicate that if there are some spaces that are not stained with IHC, okay, then that's a confirmatory that there is a fibrovascular septa. So, like for example, in this case, okay, you cannot really differentiate where is the fibrovascular septa. Are we dealing with an embryonal here? Are we dealing with, alveolar? But then running it through the IHC, that's the time that we definitely know that these aggregation of the cells are actually the tumor cells. Those parts that doesn't have any aggregation of the cells, okay, those are fibrovascular septa. So the cells that are positive with the brown stain, okay, those are the tumor cells. Okay, the others parts that are negative to fibrovasculars, negative to the IgG stain, that's fibrovascular septa. Okay, now this is one. This is spindle type. Okay, so here all of the cells are positive. Okay, for IHC stain. This one here. Okay, This one, it may seem like we're dealing with leiomyoma here, but then it's uh, uh, this one is Desmin. Okay, but I do have some other stain here that's positive for myogenin. So this is actually a spindle type rhabdomyosarcoma. Okay, so so one thing is that if uh, the slide may seem like leiomyoma or leiomyosarcoma or the spindle type rhabdomyosarcoma, one way of differentiating all of these differentials is just running it through the IHC. Okay. So rhabdomyosarcoma, I've mentioned before that the prognosis is depending on what subtype is seen under the slide. Uh, so generally, rhabdomyosarcoma have a poor prognosis, 40 to 45% as a 5-year survival rate. But this is in general, okay? This is in general. But when you're looking at the specific subtypes, okay, what you can see here is that the embryonal rhabdomyosarcoma, the ERMS, they have a very good prognosis, even if the uh, age predilection is seen mostly in young patients. Okay. Poor prognosis is seen in adult RMS, okay, and also uh, the alveolar rhabdomyosarcoma, adult rhabdomyosarcoma, and the pleomorphic one. So as you can see here in this flow chart right here, there are some other classifications that are not mentioned earlier. So there are some subtypes of rhabdomyosarcoma that are classified according to the presence of the gene mutations. Okay, I will not go into very specific of these gene mutations. Okay, but then if you do have a time, okay, I've actually sent the journal. Okay, this one, the journal. Okay, to further classify this kind of lesions, the rhabdomyosarcoma, because if you are seen with such gene mutations, it would most likely uh, uh, it would most likely predict your prognosis. Okay, now we just only focus on the histologic subtypes. Okay, the ERMS, the embryonal, the spindle, okay, the spindle cell, ARMS, okay, the alveolar one, and the pleomorphic. Okay, so um, just to have a recap for the prognosis, all you have to do is just remember this table right here. Okay, the subtype would um, would be seen to have differences in their age predilection and its corresponding prognosis. Okay, so uh, generally, rhabdomyosarcoma is a is a cancer. So patients should be referred to the chemo oncologist for chemo and radio. Most adult patients are stage 4 at presentation. So that's why uh, it's very difficult to gauge their prognosis. They have really a poor prognosis when we're dealing with adult patients. Uh, Generally, they have poor prognosis, but it depends on the subtype. Okay, so mm, so that's it. Okay, so we're done. Regarding adipocytic or the fat cells, okay, adipocytes, um, I'm not going to refocus more on its histologic subtypes. All you have to do is just to know which of this is lipoma or the liposarcoma. Okay. Anyway, you already know how to diagnose lipoma and liposarcoma, just basing it on its pleomorphism, its atypia, and its mitotic numbers. Okay, so um, it's already posted in your activity sheets on how to differentiate these two lesions, the lipoma and liposarcoma. Okay, lipoma is very easy to diagnose because fat cells are very, mm, it's distinctively different. Okay, they have this very large vacuole inside that's filled with fat deposits, and the full structure or the morphology of the cell is plump, big, okay, and the nucleus is small. Okay, so majority of the area of the cell for fat cells, like 80 to 90%, are filled with fat. Okay, that's why you see those empty vacuoles within its cytoplasm. Okay, so that's it. We're done with connective tissue lesions. Okay, so just a recap, all of these connective lesions, okay, they do have histologic similarities, but it will help you to diagnose if you know the IHC markers, okay, that would most likely confirm your diagnosis. Okay, so we're done with fibrous, vascular, neural, muscle, and fat. Okay, so sorry. Okay, am I live? Okay, so I'm going to first show you the slide. Okay, so this is the um, low power objective. Okay, and let's see here. Okay, uh, okay. So what could be the diagnosis for this lesion here, for this slide? You could just message me with your diagnosis. Ah, let's see. Uh-huh. Why do you think so? Why do you think so? Why is it that that's your diagnosis? What do you see on the slide? Circular areas, reminiscent of what structure? Tectonica media. Uh-huh. Okay. Is it benign, malignant? Benign. Okay. Good. Okay. So this is angioleiomyoma. Okay. Then let's see. Uh, how about this one? How about this one? How about this one? Okay, I need to ask you first. Are we looking at a benign or a malignant lesion here? Mm. Why? Why? Why do you think that this lesion is malignant? Uh-huh. Okay. You see that the cells, yes. Uh-huh. Correct. It's the nucleus is not uniform in shape. Okay. Good. Okay. Now, if we go to the low power objective, what shape of cells do you see here? Mm-hmm. Um, how about its, yes, okay. Can you describe the direction or the organization of the cells? The organization, how are the cells organized? And then you need to describe it. Are they um, grouped into fascicles? Uh, are they shaped like spindle cells? Yes or no? Yes. Okay. So they are pleomorphic, and then it's spindle shaped, and then they are grouped into fascicles. Okay. What could be the differential diagnosis for this lesion? Can you list down and type in your answers? What are the differential diagnosis um, for this lesion? What are your differentials? Please type in your answers for your differentials for this lesion. Spindle cell. What else? Spindle cell, leiomyosarcoma. Okay. What are the IHCs that you can request for you to have the definitive diagnosis? What IHCs? SMA. What else? Desmin. What else? Because SMA is very specific to smooth muscle. HMB45. Yes, if we can, if you want to differentiate it from other neural lesions, okay, like neurofibroma. Yeah, it does have similarities with neurofibroma. What else? You have SMA for smooth muscles. How about the skeletal myogenin? Okay, good. Okay, so if you have this slide, okay, so if you have this slide, okay, and this is a positive for SMA, then what would be your diagnosis? This is positive for SMA. So what would, yes, it's leiomyosarcoma, correct. Okay. So all you have to remember is that look for the morphology, okay, its pleomorphism, and then confirm it with the IHC. Okay. So that's it. It's pretty easy to really diagnose it as long as you know the IHC, okay, and its morphology. Now it may also have similarities with other connective tissue lesions. That's why you need to also use other IHCs to confirm what kind of connective tissue lesion are you dealing with. Okay. So I, so I guess that's it. Okay. Do you have any questions? Do you have any questions? If you don't have any questions, then I guess okay. So I guess that's it. So we're done with connective tissue lesions, and then for our next lecture would be salivary gland lesions. Okay. So uh, don't forget to vote for the type of lab exam that you want. Okay, and then if whichever comes first, if everybody posted their vote or will get the majority, okay, that's a format that we will do for our lab exam. Okay, so that's it. Okay, we'll end this call. Okay, because it's dinner already here. I need to eat. Okay, bye bye.
Thank you, Doc.
Bye bye.
Thank you, Doc.
What, Doc?